Ladies and gentlemen, sponsors and supporters and stalwarts and all of our friends of the Hobart Chargers Basketball Club, welcome. Can I particularly acknowledge the member for Elwick, Josh Willey, who is here and no doubt celebrating the fact that the Chargers are moving back into his electorate. Welcome, Josh. I think we have an apology from Mayor Christy Johnson as well, who sends her apologies, and also from the Speaker of the House and member for Denison, Elise Archer. And I want to particularly acknowledge those two because they have both supported the Hobart Chargers Basketball Club in the past and no doubt will again in the future. So tonight, really, while we've done some official business in the AGM, and I can tell you that Bridget has asked me to inform you that she will be emailing out in the next few days, week or so. She's been flat chat getting this together, the full financials and full constitution for anyone who wants it, but that'll go to all paid up members. But really tonight, apart from the official business of the AGM, is about saying thank you. I think it's really important as part of our club culture that we remember to say thank you to the people who have supported us and have made it possible to put two great basketball teams on the court, and all of that joy and entertainment and sometimes heartache that provides for us. So I want to start by saying a warm and personal thank you to your warm welcome to me for the great warm welcome. Not a basketball outsider, but I've come in and I've had nothing but real warmth and friendliness and great advice from club stalwarts, from sponsors, some supporters. I've met great volunteers who are all, frankly, just fabulous people, and it's just great to be part of it. So thank you. That's my personal thank you to you. The other part of our agenda today, apart from saying thank you, is to talk about the journey ahead, because we've got an extraordinary past as a club, and I think we've got an even more extraordinary future, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, with that very brief agenda, there's very few meetings you go to where there's only 2 agenda items, thank you, and the journey ahead, I'll get on with it. And firstly, with thank yous. I want to thank John Clements and Steve Lance, who I can see them hanging around here somewhere, hiding around. Where's the other one? Oh, there he is, the short one. This is the problem for us hanging around basketball crowds, isn't it? I want to thank these guys because for years now they've supported this club and they've come back on as naming rights sponsor. Sometimes, and even in the past me, I've thought, oh, that was Telstra Corporate, they've got plenty of money. But these guys are small business people. They run their own shops, but they run their own business. They employ lots of Tasmanians, and they are good enough to support this club essentially out of their own pockets or out of their own profits. And I'm determined to make sure we give stuff back to these guys because they've done an extraordinary job. So please, a sincere round of applause for Steve and Bill. Secondly, I want to thank Restpoint, because the truth is what Restpoint have done for us is enable us to pay our bills on time as and when they're due, and this is a good thing for a club like this. I particularly want to acknowledge Don Baker, Kath McCann and John Groom. I know John's in the audience. I'm not sure if Dom and Kath are. Apologies. But all 3 of them have worked really hard to make this sponsorship happen, and what it's allowed us to do is do a deal with the SEABL to make sure this club's going to keep playing, and what it's also allowed us to do is make sure we have a strong women's program, and I think that's vitally important for a community club like this to have a men's and a women's team, and the Restpoint support is enabling us to do that, so thank you very much to Restpoint as well. And then thirdly, a name that will need no introduction to many people around the club, and that is Paul Jack, who's the State Manager of Schweppes. And while we were deliberating about where we're going to play our games next year as a board, what we realised was we couldn't take on more financial risk and we needed someone to help us with that financial risk. And Paul Jack, who has now, as manager of Schweppes, been sponsoring the Hobart Chargers for 10 years, he tells me, has massively, I can tell you, increased his sponsorship, or Schweppes' sponsorship of the club. And this essentially means we'll move to the Derwent Entertainment Centre with no financial risk, all financial upside, and it is an extraordinary, I think, club hero story for Paul Jack. He couldn't be here tonight, but I said I'd say nice things about him. So please, when you see Paul next, make sure you tell him, oh, that Bartlett said nice things about you, because he has worked tirelessly. I can see Emily from the deck, yours is coming in a minute, tirelessly to make this deal happen. We've been going for 8 weeks now solid to make that deck deal happen, and we wanted it to happen before this AGM and before this function. And between Emily and Paul Jack, they made it happen, and it's going to be a terrific outcome in my view. So every time you see Paul Jack in the street from now, or every time you see a choice between Schweppes and the other mob, I know what I'll be buying, all right? So you should do the same if you're a supporter of this club. So thank you very much, Paul Jack. And Emily Wills, who I didn't know 8 weeks ago, but I know very well now because we've been through a massive negotiation. And I've got to say thank you to the Mayor of Glenorchy, to the officials at the Glenorchy City Council, and particularly Emily, who's the manager of the Derwent Entertainment Centre, because she's been fantastic. And while we started this negotiation a reasonable way apart, we managed to get it where it's going to be, I think, a great benefit certainly to the Chargers, and I'm very confident it's going to be a great benefit to the Derwent Entertainment Centre as well. We're both motivated in the deal we've done, I can tell you, to get more people there, and both the club and the centre will be rewarded if we get lots of people paying for tickets to come and watch basketball, and that's a good thing. We're both mutually motivated, aren't we, Emily, to make sure that lots of people come. So thank you to the Derwent Entertainment Centre, and also really on paper, the Glenorchy City Council have become a fairly significant sponsor of the Hobart Chargers by making this deal happen, so thank you very much to them as well. So, you can see we've been busy, the board's been busy, and the volunteers that I've come across and met and tried to give jobs to and all the rest of it have been busy, and they've been great at it, and I really appreciate that. I can tell you, as you've seen, we've re-signed Telstra as a major sponsor. We have signed Restpoint, we've signed Schweppes, we've announced a move to the deck, we've got a new constitution and an agile governance structure. Monique Mackerel, myself and Anthony Stewart have talked to between 15 and 20 new sponsors in the last 8 weeks, and we think some of those are going to come on board with us as well. We've changed the name of the Lady Chargers to the women's team for the one club with 2 teams, men's and women's. They are equal, and we're going to support both of them going forward equally. We've done partnership arrangements and deals, and I want to acknowledge all the club presidents and club people in the room from all the clubs and CAMs of southern Tasmania. It's been put to me that for the first time in southern Tasmanian basketball, we are speaking with one voice, and that is a great thing. So thank you for all of those clubs and CAMs who have come on board so readily and so willingly to make that happen. Thank you very much. Thank you also to Basketball Tasmania. We're forging a new relationship with Basketball Tasmania, and we're going to make it work for the benefit of basketball in Tasmania. My view is if we want the pinnacle that is the Chargers to be the best it can be, we need to grow the base of the pyramid. And we're going to work with Basketball Tasmania, we're going to work with anyone who shares that vision to grow the base of the pyramid. We're also going to talk to government about how we do that, I suspect. Hello, Alan. We have got an agreed repayment schedule with the SEABL. We're going to pay as much as we can, as quickly as we can, to make sure that we get clear that debt, and that's a good thing because we're going to be strong for the financial future. We've got some new logos designed, and I'll talk more about Dave Shering and the team from Handbuilt Creative in a minute when I unveil those. And we're going to have a new look and a new feel and a new fresh brand, whatever you, the club members, supporters, choose. I know which way I'm voting, but anyway. And lastly, we have a 3-year plan on a page. I have a very strong view that unless you have a plan on one page, unless you can write it on one page, you don't actually have a plan. And we've written that as a board, and we've adopted it as a board, and we're pressing on with it. And with that, I want to just tell you a little bit about what's in that plan. It's called Strong, and it's for a reason. We're going to be strong on the court, strong in the community, strong on the balance sheet, and strong for the future. We've set, you probably can't read these in the small type, but they're in our sponsorship prospectus that Monique Mackerel will email to anyone who wants one, trust me. We've set some strong goals. Strong on the court. We want both the men's and women's teams to play, this is a 3-year plan, in the next 3 years in 3 final series, and we want them both to have won at least one championship. We are strong in the community. We want to see 15,000 kids, school students, go through clinics, camps, through our partnership agreement with the clubs and CAMs, and we want to see those kids take up basketball as their preferred sport. And we want to see, in the 3rd year of operation of this plan, 3,000 average night attendance at the Derwent Entertainment Centre. Now, I think they're ambitious plans, but they're achievable plans in my view. And then thirdly, between 2017 and 2019, Matt Hargrave's going to keep me to this, we are going to retain between 5 and 10% of our annual revenue as a cash asset in the bank at the end of the year, so we don't go from this boom to bust cycle of always wondering where the next dollar's coming from at the end of the year. And that will mean our 4th goal is to be NBL ready within 3 years' time, because we're going to need money to do that. And we're going to need to show that we are financially responsible, and I'm determined to make that happen. To make this plan reach these goals, we've got a bunch of projects that the board and the volunteers, and we want to enlist you, the volunteers, in these projects to get them done before tip-off 2017. We're rolling out a community program, and many of you in the room have been involved already in talking to us about how we're going to do that. We want to build membership, and sometime after Australia Day you'll see new membership packs from us, new membership classes, and the ability to buy, hopefully, merchandise, potentially certainly season tickets, and we'll be rolling that out after Australia Day with a big marketing campaign, won't we, Bridget? Thank you. We are together a great digital strategy. We want to work with a bunch of partners around town, and there's many of them. I can see a few in the room who want to help us do that, some commercial partners, and we're looking forward to bringing them on board. We're doing a rebrand and a refresh, and you'll see a bit of that. We're looking at our home game night experience. Obviously the venue's big tick. We've also brought on a sponsor, can't name them yet because we haven't actually signed the deal, but we've got a handshake to sponsor game night entertainment, which means the game night is going to be a spectacular, fun, family, energetic, quality event. And lastly, we are spending a lot of time, everyone on the board, but particularly myself, Monique and Stewie, getting out to talk to as many Tasmanian businesses as possible. And if you know a Tasmanian business or you are a Tasmanian business, we are happy to come and sit down with you. We've built a very professional sponsorship prospectus, and we want to put it in front of as many people as we possibly can, because what we find when we do put it in front of them is that people are liking it and they want to get on board. So anywhere you can point us in those directions, that would be fantastic as well. So we want to connect customers to your business, and we want to find agile and interesting ways to do that. I promised Monique I wouldn't do this, but there's Monique and me and Stewie, and we're available, and anyone who wants a sponsorship prospectus emailed to them, pitched to them, taken to them, one of us will show up at your workplace, your office, your hen house, outhouse, pig house, or whatever the expression goes, and do that, because we think it's really important to build that. And as I said, we've already been talking to 15 or 20 Tasmanian brand names. And apart from the fantastic Rest Point, the guys at Telstra and the fabulous Schweppes people, we're talking to many others, and I think there's going to be a few coming on board, and particularly with the announcement about the deck, I think that will help. I particularly just wanted to acknowledge Stewie here, because one of the things I'm really, really keen to do is, while I'm going to talk a lot about the future while I'm here and involved with this club for I hope the next 3 years, unless you sack me, I also want to acknowledge the past. And there's so many people that I knew back in the Devils days, back in the early Chargers days, that I see week in, week out, putting volunteer effort, player effort, in whatever capacity, into this club. And I think we need to do better at acknowledging that past And I hope that when we get to the deck, and it's great to see people like Mark Nash here. G'day, Nashy. I will never forget the day that I was at the Devils and saw Mark Nash, and the day Anthony Stewart ran out on the court for the Devils. And I want to relive those moments for the young kids running out on the court at the deck for the first time for the Chargers. Tasmanian kids running out on the court for the first time at the Chargers. And I also want to acknowledge not only that future, but also the past and those people who have made that great contribution to the club over time. So we're going to find some interesting and innovative ways to do that over the next little while, and I'll be happy to take your advice on how we best do that. So, tonight we say goodbye to an old friend who has served us well. Some would say well, some would use another word. But I think an old friend who served us well. And, everything around clubs, is about iconography. It's about what we love and what we hate about the place, and what we, really stirs emotion in us, and how we use that to extend the family of the club to other people. And this logo has done us well. But it is time, in my view, to retire it. We are heading in a new direction with new energy and new excitement, and we need to send that message to the much wider community than just us, the faithful here gathered tonight. So in doing that, I particularly want to acknowledge Hand-Built Creative. Dave Shering and Sean are here from Hand-Built. Dave's always in black. Sean's definitely in black. This is a digital media creative firm who do branding, web development. I guarantee, I think I'm right in saying this, as a good ex-politician, I just keep saying it until someone proves me wrong, that they'd be the only firm in Tasmania to win 3 Webby Awards, two Webby Awards, sorry. I'm also prone to hyperbole as an ex-politician. 2 Webby Awards. They are the international Oscars for web development, I can tell you. 2 Webby Awards. They are an extraordinary firm based down in Richmond. They do national and international work all over the place. And when I thought, who's going to design our new logo and who might do it for me as a favour, I rang my mate Dave Shering. And I really want to acknowledge them because they've done this work for free and with expectation of nothing in return. And my expectation, therefore, is to do everything I can to promote their business, because their business is extraordinary and they do extraordinary work. It's international quality work down here in Richmond. I encourage you, if you are doing any branding, any online work or web development work, they're great people to go and talk to. And I want to give them a round of applause because they've done this for us. And so, I get to reveal the potential 2 new logos for our club. And Craig Clark and Ronald and others have put together an online poll. I'll announce some details about that because ultimately, well, democracy is a good thing. And also, often we see our politicians not wanting to make decisions and put out plebiscites and things like that. Sometimes the board can be split on these matters, for example. And the other thing is that Hand-Built created 2 extraordinary logos for our club. And I'm just going to reveal them in silence and leave them on the screen for 3 to 5 seconds each, and then I'll put them both on the screen and I'll come back and say a few more words. You can ooh and ah if you like. And here's both of them. We're calling one Revamp and one Rhino. And if you go to, and we're handing them out now, Bridget is, thank you Bridget. And I can tell you that when I got to the board meeting on Monday night and had the artwork from Hand-Built, I took them to the board. And I announced them and gave them sort of narrative as I announced them. I was accused by my fellow directors of showing some bias towards one or the other. So I committed to my fellow directors that I would not, this evening, use my microphone and my words to show my bias. So I'm very happy, though, to make sure that in the interim people can get a view of what I'm thinking, but I wouldn't want to influence the vote in any way, shape or form. So, yeah. That said, tonight when you go home, and I think, Craig, where are you? It will be live now at the Hobart Chargers website. You will find an online poll and you will get to vote. And not only will you get to vote, but what I encourage you to do, because we want this going wider than this room, is to share your vote on social media to make sure you express an opinion. Our friends from the Mercury are going to print the 2 logos tomorrow, I'm told, and we will run this online poll and engage as many people as possible in it until noon on Friday the 9th of December. So you have about 12 days in which to express your vote, and you can get, guess what? This is even better democracy. If you publish this to your social media stream, you get given 2 more votes to encourage you to share it with your friends. Vote often, vote early, we used to say in the... no, we didn't we? So I encourage you to vote and to engage all of your friends and connections, everyone in the wider basketball community, everyone in the wider Southern Tasmanian community, to have a say. Of course, I know which way I'll be voting, and if you know what's good for you, no. And I'm sure you all have your own free will. So, with that, can I finish by saying thank you again, finish where I started, and I just want to say thank you to my fellow board members. They're an extraordinary group of people. I have loved working with them for just 8 weeks. We are energetic and we are poised for the future, and I'm really excited about it. I want to particularly acknowledge David Fagan, who is a retiring board member, has left now, I gather, but has done great work for the board on setting up our new constitution. I also want to acknowledge Jason Brown, the outgoing president, who's built a firm foundation on which for us to build, and I'm really thrilled about that too. And I'm sorry Jason couldn't be here tonight for me to acknowledge his great contribution to the club. Tonight I particularly want to acknowledge Bridget, who pulled the whole thing together and runs around, makes us all do stuff, and it was great, and I was here at 2 o'clock trying to help, but she'd done it all already. So thank you, Bridget, and Robin and the Fannin family and everybody else on the board and the volunteers who have put this together. I want to particularly acknowledge my mate Ronald Riggs here. I didn't know Ronald 8 weeks ago, but I'm not sure if he's stalking me or not, but everywhere I go he shows up with a camera. And he doesn't, I know he's been Volunteer of the Year for the club, but I just want to acknowledge him because everywhere I go he's making great content, and we need to make much more great digital content and share it with many, many more people, and I reckon Ronald's got the key to that, and I really thank you, Ronald, for the work you're doing. And lastly tonight, can I thank our sponsors for this event who have meant that it hasn't cost the club. Can I thank Justin at Taskino for their sponsorship, and can I thank Stevie Old, a great club man as well, at the THA for the supply of the beers. Much appreciated, Steve. Good on you, mate. And so I'll leave these up. I thank you very much, and I ask you to get on board for the journey. Go Chargers.